Being nice and being kind are often mistaken for the same thing, but they are fundamentally different. While both involve positive behaviors, the motivation and impact behind them vary greatly. Understanding the distinction between the two is essential, especially when navigating relationships, career paths, and personal growth. Being nice often focuses on external validation, compliance, and maintaining peace at all costs, whereas being kind stems from genuine care, self-respect, and a balance between compassion for others and oneself. Niceness often emerges from a desire to be liked or accepted. It is characterized by an eagerness to please, a tendency to avoid conflict, and a willingness to put the needs of others above one's own. At first glance, these traits may seem harmless or even admirable. After all, the world often praises those who are agreeable and accommodating. However, niceness, when unchecked, can lead to significant challenges. People who prioritize being nice may find themselves consistently saying yes to things they don't want to do, agreeing with opinions they don't believe in, or remaining silent in situations where their voice is needed. This behavior often stems from a fear of rejection or confrontation. The nice person may believe that by avoiding disagreements or by putting others first, they can maintain harmony and secure their place in a social circle, workplace, or relationship. While this approach may work temporarily, it often comes at a cost. The suppression of personal desires, beliefs, and boundaries leads to a gradual erosion of self-respect. Over time, the nice person may feel invisible, unheard, or unimportant. Niceness can also have unintended consequences in relationships. When someone is overly nice, they may inadvertently send the message that their needs and boundaries are unimportant. This can lead to a dynamic where others feel entitled to take advantage of their kindness. For instance, a person who is always nice may end up doing the lion's share of work in a group project, consistently being the one to compromise in a disagreement, or shouldering the emotional burdens of others without receiving the same support in return. The irony is that in their attempt to be liked, nice people may end up feeling undervalued and unappreciated. Kindness, on the other hand, is a different story. It is rooted in authenticity and genuine concern for others. Unlike niceness, kindness doesn't seek external approval. A kind person acts out of a desire to do what's right, even if it's uncomfortable or unpopular. Kindness is about balancing compassion for others with respect for oneself. It's about giving, but not to the point of depletion. Kindness requires strength because it often involves making difficult choices. For example, a kind person may tell a friend the hard truth instead of sugarcoating a situation just to avoid conflict. They may choose to set boundaries with someone they care about to protect their own mental health, knowing that doing so might upset the other person temporarily. Kindness is not about avoiding confrontation or discomfort. It's about fostering growth, understanding, and mutual respect. A key difference between niceness and kindness lies in motivation. While niceness often stems from a place of fear of rejection, fear of upsetting others, kindness is motivated by love. Love for others, yes, but also love for oneself. Kind people understand that they cannot pour from an empty cup. They recognize the importance of self-care and self-respect. They know that saying no when necessary is not an act of cruelty, but an act of self-preservation. The impact of kindness is also more profound and lasting than that of niceness. While niceness might create a fleeting sense of harmony, kindness fosters genuine connections. People recognize when someone's actions are sincere and when they are performed out of obligation or fear. Genuine kindness has the power to inspire trust, respect, and admiration. It creates a foundation for meaningful relationships and encourages others to reciprocate with the same level of care and consideration. In professional settings, the distinction between niceness and kindness becomes even more critical. A nice employee might agree to take on additional tasks they don't have the capacity for, simply to avoid disappointing their manager. Over time, this can lead to burnout and resentment. A kind employee, on the other hand, would communicate their limitations respectfully while offering alternative solutions. This approach not only protects their well-being, but also demonstrates integrity and a commitment to delivering quality work. Kindness also plays a vital role in leadership. A nice leader might avoid giving constructive feedback to avoid hurting their team's feelings. While this may seem considerate in the short term, it ultimately hinders growth and improvement. A kind leader, however, would deliver feedback with empathy, balancing honesty with encouragement. This approach helps team members learn and grow, fostering a culture of trust and continuous development. Perhaps the most significant distinction between niceness and kindness is the way they influence self-perception. When people focus solely on being nice, they often neglect their own needs and desires. They may begin to feel like their worth is tied to how much they do for others or how well they avoid conflict. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy, frustration, and even resentment. Kindness, on the other hand, empowers individuals to act in alignment with their values. It allows them to give without feeling drained and to care for others without neglecting themselves. Choosing kindness over niceness requires courage and self-awareness. It means being willing to face uncomfortable situations, to stand up for oneself, and to prioritize authenticity over approval. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Kindness creates a ripple effect, touching lives in ways that niceness never can. It builds stronger relationships, fosters mutual respect, and most importantly, allows individuals to live in harmony with their true selves. People often take advantage of niceness because it can be perceived as a weakness or an opportunity to exploit. A person who is consistently agreeable, accommodating, and reluctant to assert themselves may unintentionally signal that their boundaries are flexible or non-existent. This behavior, while rooted in good intentions, can attract individuals who prioritize their own needs over fairness or mutual respect, creating an imbalance in relationships, both personal and professional. When someone is overly nice, they tend to prioritize the needs and feelings of others, often at the expense of their own. For instance, they may agree to tasks they don't have time for, tolerate disrespectful behavior, or avoid confrontation, even when it is necessary. This self-sacrificing behavior can lead others to assume that the person's time, energy, or resources are unlimited and readily available. Over time, this dynamic becomes a pattern where the nice person is expected to accommodate everyone without reciprocation. In relationships, the exploitation of niceness can manifest in subtle and overt ways. Friends may expect the nice person to always be the one to make plans, lend a hand, or compromise. Family members might assume they can rely on them without asking, knowing they won't refuse. In romantic relationships, niceness can lead to unbalanced dynamics, where one partner consistently gives while the other takes. This imbalance creates frustration and resentment for the nice person, who often feels unappreciated and undervalued. At work, niceness can result in being overburdened with responsibilities. Colleagues may offload tasks, knowing the nice person won't say no, while managers may view them as dependable to a fault, assigning more than is fair. This leads to burnout and a lack of recognition, as the person's willingness to accommodate is taken for granted rather than rewarded. Their contributions are often overlooked because their niceness is mistaken for compliance rather than dedication. The tendency to exploit niceness is not always malicious. Many people act out of convenience rather than intent to harm. When someone is always agreeable and accommodating, others naturally gravitate towards them because it makes their own lives easier. The issue arises when this dynamic goes unchecked, leaving the nice person depleted and unacknowledged. Another factor contributing to this exploitation is the misconception that niceness equates to passivity. People often associate being nice with an inability or unwillingness to stand up for oneself. This perception can encourage disrespect, as others assume the nice person won't challenge unfair treatment or assert their rights. For instance, in a negotiation, a nice individual might accept unfavorable terms just to maintain harmony, inadvertently signaling that their boundaries can be pushed. Social conditioning plays a significant role in this phenomenon, especially for women. Many are taught from a young age that being nice is synonymous with being likable, polite, or even virtuous. This conditioning can lead to a reluctance to assert boundaries or prioritize self-care, as doing so might be seen as selfish or unfeminine. As a result, their niceness becomes a double-edged sword praised on the surface but exploited in practice. The exploitation of niceness also stems from the imbalance between giving and receiving. Nice people often give without expecting anything in return, which, while noble, creates a one-sided relationship. This dynamic can escalate to the point where others come to expect the nice person to fulfill their needs without question. Over time, this erodes the nice person's confidence and self-worth, as their value is tied solely to how much they can provide for others. Being overly nice can attract manipulative individuals. These people recognize the lack of boundaries and use niceness to their advantage, whether by guilt-tripping, demanding favors, or taking control of decisions. The nice person's reluctance to push back makes them an easy target for those seeking to exploit their accommodating nature. To break this cycle, it's essential to understand that niceness without boundaries is unsustainable. Setting limits is not a rejection of kindness, but a way to protect oneself from exploitation. For example, learning to say no respectfully can prevent overcommitment and ensure that the nice person's generosity is appreciated rather than expected. It also signals to others that their time and energy are valuable and should not be taken for granted. Assertiveness is another key to preventing exploitation. Nice people can maintain their kindness while standing firm in their decisions and values. Assertiveness doesn't mean being harsh or unkind, it simply means communicating needs and boundaries clearly. When others see that niceness is paired with self-respect, they are less likely to take advantage of it. It's also important to recognize that being nice should not come at the cost of one's own well-being. Self-care and prioritizing personal needs are not acts of selfishness, but of self-respect. A nice person who takes care of themselves is better equipped to help others in a way that feels balanced and fulfilling. Niceness should be a choice, not an obligation. When someone learns to pair their natural kindness with self-awareness and boundaries, they can prevent exploitation while still fostering meaningful and respectful relationships. Niceness, when rooted in self-respect, becomes a strength rather than a vulnerability. Setting boundaries is one of the most crucial aspects of earning respect in both personal and professional relationships. Boundaries serve as a way to communicate your values, priorities, and limits, ensuring that others understand how you expect to be treated. Without clear boundaries, it becomes easy for others to take advantage of your time, energy, and goodwill. Establishing and maintaining these limits is not about pushing people away or being harsh. It's about creating a healthy dynamic where respect and understanding can flourish. When boundaries are absent, people may unknowingly or deliberately overstep. They might ask for too much of your time, demand emotional support without reciprocation, or take liberties that leave you feeling disrespected. This lack of respect often stems not from malice but from a lack of clarity. When you don't establish boundaries, others are left to interpret your limits, and their assumptions may not align with your needs. By clearly setting boundaries, you take control of how you are treated and ensure that interactions are mutually beneficial. One of the most important aspects of setting boundaries is recognizing your own worth. Many people hesitate to establish limits because they fear being perceived as selfish or unkind. However, respecting yourself is the foundation for teaching others to respect you. When you prioritize your well-being, you send a powerful message that your time, energy, and emotions are valuable. This self-respect creates a ripple effect, encouraging others to treat you with the same regard. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to putting others' needs before your own. This discomfort often arises from societal norms or personal insecurities. For instance, many people are taught to be agreeable and accommodating, equating these traits with kindness or likability. While it's important to be considerate of others, consistently ignoring your own needs to maintain harmony is neither sustainable nor healthy. Learning to set boundaries requires unlearning these patterns and embracing the idea that saying no is not a rejection of kindness but an affirmation of self-respect. One effective way to set boundaries is through clear and assertive communication. This doesn't mean being confrontational or aggressive. It simply means expressing your needs in a way that leaves no room for misinterpretation. For example, if a colleague frequently asks you to stay late at work, you might say, "I value our collaboration, but I need to leave on time today to honor my personal commitments." This approach is firm yet respectful, ensuring that your boundaries are understood without causing unnecessary conflict. Consistency is also key when setting boundaries. If you establish a limit but fail to enforce it, others may view it as negotiable. For instance, if you tell a friend that you can't answer calls after 9 p.m., but continue to pick up the phone when they call late at night, you undermine your own boundary. This inconsistency sends mixed signals, making it harder for others to take your limits seriously. By consistently upholding your boundaries, you reinforce their importance and encourage others to respect them. It's important to recognize that setting boundaries may not always be met with immediate acceptance. Some people might push back or react negatively, especially if they've grown accustomed to you being overly accommodating. This resistance is not a reflection of your worth or the validity of your boundaries. Rather, it's an adjustment period as others adapt to the new dynamic. Stay firm and remind yourself that establishing limits is necessary for your well-being and the health of your relationships. Boundaries also play a vital role in preventing burnout. When you consistently say yes to every request or demand, you risk depleting your energy and resources. This not only affects your ability to meet your own needs, but can also lead to resentment toward those who rely on you. By setting boundaries, you protect your capacity to give and ensure that your contributions are made willingly and sustainably. This balance fosters a sense of mutual respect, where both parties recognize and honor each other's limits. Another benefit of boundaries is the way they build trust and respect in relationships. When you communicate your needs honestly and uphold your limits consistently, you demonstrate integrity and self-awareness. People are more likely to respect and value you when they see that you value yourself. Additionally, boundaries create a framework for healthy interactions, reducing misunderstandings and fostering a sense of mutual respect. In professional settings, boundaries are particularly important. Without them, you may find yourself overwhelmed with tasks, undervalued for your contributions, or taken advantage of by colleagues or supervisors. Setting clear limits, such as defining your work hours or delegating responsibilities, helps establish your role and expectations. This not only protects your well-being, but also enhances your credibility as someone who is dependable yet assertive. In personal relationships, boundaries are essential for maintaining balance and respect. Whether it's with friends, family, or romantic partners, setting limits ensures that your needs are acknowledged and valued. For instance, if a friend frequently cancels plans at the last minute, you might express how it affects you and set a boundary, such as asking for more notice in the future. This kind of communication fosters understanding and strengthens the relationship. Setting boundaries is not about building walls, but about creating a structure that supports healthy, respectful connections. By prioritizing your needs and expressing them clearly, you establish a foundation of self-respect that encourages others to treat you with the same regard. Boundaries empower you to take control of your life, protect your well-being, and build relationships that are based on mutual respect and understanding. They are an essential tool for fostering a balanced, fulfilling life. Sacrificing yourself for others often stems from a place of love, care, or a deep desire to help. However, when this behavior becomes a pattern, it can lead to significant emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion. Consistently putting others before yourself may seem noble, but it often results in neglecting your own needs, diminishing your self-worth, and creating relationships where your sacrifices are expected rather than appreciated. Recognizing the impact of self-sacrifice and learning to strike a balance between helping others and caring for yourself is essential for your overall well-being. One of the primary reasons people sacrifice themselves for others is the belief that it's the right thing to do. From a young age, many are taught that selflessness is a virtue and that prioritizing others is a mark of kindness and generosity. While there is merit in helping others, this mindset can become unhealthy when it leads to consistently disregarding your own needs. Sacrificing your time, energy, and happiness without pause can create a cycle where your value becomes tied solely to what you can give, leaving little room for self-care or personal growth. Over time, the habit of constant self-sacrifice can lead to burnout. When you always put others first, your own needs go unmet, and your resources become depleted. Emotional exhaustion, stress, and resentment can begin to build, leaving you feeling drained and unfulfilled. This not only affects your own well-being, but also diminishes the quality of your relationships. Instead of being a source of support, you may find yourself feeling disconnected or frustrated, unable to give the best of yourself to others. Another consequence of sacrificing yourself is the development of unbalanced relationships. When you consistently prioritize others over yourself, it can create a dynamic where your sacrifices are taken for granted. People may come to expect your support without considering the impact it has on you. This imbalance often leads to feelings of being unappreciated or undervalued, as the effort and energy you invest are not reciprocated. Relationships thrive on mutual respect and understanding, and constant self-sacrifice undermines this balance. The tendency to sacrifice oneself can also stem from a fear of disappointing others or being perceived as selfish. You might agree to things you don't want to do, take on responsibilities that aren't yours, or avoid saying no out of guilt. While these actions may keep others happy in the short term, they often come at the cost of your own happiness and well-being. Over time, this pattern can erode your confidence and self-esteem as you prioritize external validation over your own needs and desires. Learning to stop sacrificing yourself for others begins with recognizing your own worth. Your value is not determined by how much you can give or how often you put others first. Taking care of yourself is not an act of selfishness, but a necessary step to being the best version of yourself. When you prioritize your needs, you build a strong foundation that allows you to support others without compromising your well-being. It's important to remember that you cannot pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself enables you to help others more effectively. Setting boundaries is another critical step in breaking the cycle of self-sacrifice. Boundaries help define what you are willing to give and what you need in return. They protect your time, energy, and emotions, ensuring that your contributions are made willingly and without resentment. For example, if you find yourself constantly agreeing to extra work or favors, establishing a clear limit on what you can handle ensures that your own priorities are not neglected. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, but about creating a healthy balance that respects both your needs and those of others. Assertiveness plays a key role in maintaining boundaries and preventing self-sacrifice. Communicating your limits clearly and confidently helps others understand and respect them. For instance, if a friend frequently relies on you for support during inconvenient times, expressing your availability and suggesting alternative solutions can maintain the relationship without compromising your own well-being. Assertiveness doesn't mean being unkind. It's about standing up for yourself in a way that fosters mutual respect and understanding. Practicing self-care is another essential aspect of breaking the habit of self-sacrifice. Taking time to prioritize your physical, emotional, and mental health ensures that you have the energy and resilience to navigate life's demands. Self-care can take many forms, from setting aside time for hobbies and relaxation to seeking professional support when needed. By nurturing yourself, you create a sense of balance that prevents burnout and allows you to show up for others in a more meaningful way. It's also important to recognize that helping others doesn't always require sacrifice. Being supportive, compassionate, and generous can coexist with taking care of yourself. Finding ways to assist others that align with your own values and capacities ensures that your contributions are sustainable and fulfilling. For example, offering guidance or sharing resources can often be just as impactful as taking on someone else's responsibilities. By redefining what it means to help, you can create relationships that are based on mutual respect and shared effort. The decision to stop sacrificing yourself for others is an act of self-respect and empowerment. It's about recognizing your own needs and worth while still being there for the people you care about. By striking a balance between giving and receiving, you create a life that is both fulfilling and sustainable, allowing you to support others without losing yourself in the process. Many people spend a significant portion of their lives seeking validation and approval from others, whether it's from family, friends, co-workers, or even strangers. The desire to be accepted and praised can often feel overwhelming. However, it's essential to understand that your worth is not tied to the approval of others. The idea that your value is contingent upon external validation is a dangerous mindset that can leave you constantly seeking affirmation and struggling with self-doubt. Realizing that your worth comes from within is a powerful shift that can lead to a more fulfilling, confident, and independent life. One of the main reasons people seek approval is because they believe it affirms their identity. Society often reinforces this idea, teaching us from a young age that our worth is based on how others perceive us, from the classroom to the workplace, from friendships to romantic relationships. We are conditioned to seek validation in order to feel good about ourselves. The praise we receive makes us feel accepted, loved, and valued. While this can provide temporary satisfaction, it's not a sustainable foundation for self-worth. The problem arises when we tie our self-esteem to this approval, making it fragile and dependent on the opinions of others. When your worth is tied to others' approval, you place your happiness and confidence in their hands. This makes you vulnerable to judgment, rejection, and criticism. If someone doesn't approve of you, it can cause you to question your value, leading to feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. You may start to mold yourself into someone. You're not just to gain approval, compromising your authenticity in the process. The pursuit of approval becomes a never-ending cycle, leaving you feeling empty and fulfilled because external validation is never enough. No matter how much praise or recognition you receive, it will always feel fleeting if your sense of worth is dependent on it. To break free from this cycle, it's important to recognize that your value is inherent, not based on what others think of you. Every person has unique qualities, strengths, and talents that make them worthy, independent of anyone else's opinion. Embracing your worth means accepting yourself as you are, with all your flaws, imperfections, and successes. This doesn't mean you shouldn't strive to improve or seek growth, but it means that your worth is not defined by your achievements, appearance, or how others perceive you. Self-acceptance is a cornerstone of this mindset shift. When you learn to accept and love yourself, you stop depending on external approval to feel validated. Instead, you start to find satisfaction in your own actions, values, and decisions. You become your own source of confidence and motivation, allowing you to live more authentically and make decisions that align with your true self. This shift in perspective is liberating because it means that you no longer have to seek constant validation from others in order to feel good about yourself. Another crucial aspect of recognizing your worth is understanding that you have the power to define your own standards of success and happiness. When your value isn't tied to others' opinions, you become free to pursue what truly matters to you, whether it's a career, hobby, or a personal goal. You can measure your success based on your own criteria, not on what society or other people expect of you. This allows you to live more independently, making choices that align with your values and desires instead of seeking approval for every decision you make. Letting go of the need for approval also leads to stronger and more genuine relationships. When you stop seeking validation from others, you no longer feel the need to people please or conform to what others want from you. This frees you to show up as your true self, building connections that are based on mutual respect and authenticity. You attract people who appreciate you for who you are, rather than for the version of yourself you've created to gain their approval. These relationships are much more fulfilling because they are grounded in honesty and mutual understanding. Another benefit of releasing the need for approval is that it allows you to embrace failure and mistakes as part of your growth. When your worth isn't dependent on the opinions of others, you can take risks and fail without the fear of judgment. Failure is no longer something that diminishes your value. Instead, it becomes a valuable learning experience that contributes to your growth and resilience. This mindset frees you from the fear of making mistakes and allows you to approach challenges with confidence and determination. It's also important to recognize that everyone has their own perspective and that not everyone will approve of you, no matter how hard you try. Trying to please everyone is an impossible task because people's opinions are influenced by their own experiences, biases, and expectations. When you stop seeking approval, you stop trying to meet everyone's expectations, which allows you to focus on your own path and purpose. You begin to live for yourself, not for the approval of others, which is a far more fulfilling and empowering way to live. Learning to recognize that your worth is not tied to approval helps you develop greater resilience. Life is full of ups and downs, and at times you will face criticism, rejection, or disappointment. If your self-worth is tied to how others view you, these moments can be devastating. However, when you know that your value comes from within, you are better equipped to handle challenges and setbacks. You are less likely to be shaken by external criticism because you understand that it doesn't define who you are. This inner strength allows you to bounce back from difficulties and continue moving forward with confidence and determination. In a world that often encourages comparison and external validation, learning to separate your worth from the approval of others is a transformative experience. When you embrace the truth that your value is inherent, you free yourself from the need for constant validation and start living with more confidence, authenticity, and peace of mind. The shift not only improves your self-esteem, but also allows you to build stronger, more genuine relationships and pursue your goals with greater clarity and purpose. Your worth is not determined by anyone else's approval. It is defined by who you are, what you believe, and how you choose to live. In a world that constantly pushes for conformity, choosing strength and authenticity can be one of the most empowering decisions you can make. It takes courage to stand in your truth, especially when society often expects you to fit a certain mold or live up to external expectations. The desire to belong or be accepted is natural, but sacrificing who you truly are to meet those expectations often leads to frustration, confusion, and a loss of self. Embracing your authentic self while choosing strength not only enhances your confidence, but also allows you to live with purpose and integrity. One of the primary reasons people struggle to be authentic is the fear of judgment or rejection. Society often promotes an image of success and happiness that is centered around outward appearance, material wealth, or social status. As a result, people are often pressured into becoming someone they are not in order to gain approval or recognition. The fear of not measuring up to these standards can create a disconnect between who you truly are and who you portray yourself to be. However, this disconnect can cause inner conflict, self-doubt, and a sense of dissatisfaction, even when you receive the approval you seek. This is because deep down you are not living according to your values or your true self. Choosing authenticity, on the other hand, means embracing who you are, without pretending to be someone else or suppressing parts of yourself to fit in. It involves accepting your flaws, acknowledging your strengths, and recognizing that you don't need anyone's approval to validate your worth. Authenticity is not about being perfect. It's about being real, being honest with yourself, and living in alignment with your values and beliefs. When you live authentically, you allow yourself to be free from the constraints of societal expectations, and you stop pretending to be someone you're not. This freedom brings immense peace and a sense of inner fulfillment that cannot be achieved through approval-seeking behavior. Strength plays a crucial role in embracing authenticity. It takes strength to be true to yourself when the world around you is constantly trying to shape you into something else. It requires resilience to maintain your integrity when others criticize, doubt, or misunderstand you. In many ways, strength comes from knowing your own worth and not allowing the opinions of others to dictate your actions or beliefs. Strength is the ability to stand tall in your truth, even when faced with adversity or when it's easier to conform. It is the courage to push through fear and uncertainty, knowing that the rewards of being true to yourself far outweigh the temporary discomfort of standing apart from the crowd. When you choose strength and authenticity, you begin to experience the world from a place of inner power rather than external validation. You no longer rely on other people's approval to feel good about yourself. Instead, you draw your confidence from within, from the knowledge that you are living in alignment with your true values. This internal strength enables you to make decisions that reflect your goals and aspirations without the fear of disappointing others or seeking their permission. As a result, you develop a deeper sense of self-respect and pride in who you are and what you stand for. In addition to personal empowerment, choosing authenticity and strength also has a profound impact on your relationships. When you are authentic, you invite others to be their true selves as well. You stop hiding behind facades and begin to connect with people on a deeper level. Real connections are based on mutual understanding, respect, and trust, qualities that cannot be built on pretense. By being open, honest, and true to who you are, you attract people who appreciate you for the real you rather than for the version of yourself that you believe they want to see. This authenticity strengthens your relationships because it allows for vulnerability and genuine communication. You can share your true feelings, thoughts, and desires without fear of judgment or rejection. When others see you living authentically, they are often inspired to do the same, creating a more supportive and authentic environment. This, in turn, leads to healthier and more meaningful connections that are built on trust and mutual respect. Choosing strength and authenticity also allows you to break free from the need to compare yourself to others. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in the constant cycle of comparison, whether it's through social media or societal expectations. However, comparing yourself to others is an exercise in futility because everyone has their own unique journey, strengths, and challenges. When you choose to live authentically, you stop measuring your worth based on someone else's achievements or lifestyle. Instead, you focus on your own growth, values, and progress. This shift in mindset allows you to appreciate your own uniqueness and to embrace your journey without the constant pressure to keep up with others. Living authentically also means being honest about your needs, desires, and boundaries. It requires the strength to say no when something doesn't align with your values or when you need to protect your time and energy. Setting boundaries is a form of self-respect that allows you to prioritize your well-being while maintaining healthy relationships. When you are clear about what you need and expect from others, you create a space for mutual respect and understanding.